Hello and welcome to a brand new episode. I'm so sorry there's only been 2 episodes this week. We have had building works going on next to us and it's been so noisy to record, and every time I go to do it there's a which is not brilliant, and it's still going on, so I'm hiding in here. And also it's just been a really busy week of adjustment and kind of feeling into these next few weeks before Easter and serving clients and, running my business and running my home and doing all the things. Today, I want to have another conversation about pricing. You seem to really love what I shared on Monday. So if you haven't listened to that episode yet, do feel free to go and have a little listen about how you can serve your clients and what that really means. But today I want to talk about a shift that I made in my own life, and this may resonate with you, and really thinking about what this next chapter of your business looks like. So I made a commitment to myself maybe about 18 months ago, maybe a bit more actually, because it was when I was pregnant with Luna, because we had a lot of baby stuff that we'd kept and we hoped that we would be able to have a second baby, and we're so lucky that we were able to do that. And it was really interesting pulling everything out and going, right, what do we need? What's really important? And we actually did a bit of a cull and we sold some stuff, and we were really discerning about what was actually important in terms of this shopping list of what we wanted to buy and what we needed. And I really had that hindsight, I guess, second time round, where I was like, okay, they literally need this thing for, I think, I don't know about you, but if you've ever bought stuff for a baby, it's like, oh, they're actually in this thing for about 4.5 days and then we never use it again. So there were definitely moments where I just thought, oh, we could use an alternative, or we don't need to have that fancy thing that somebody from a big department store is saying is a must-have, a newborn essential, because, second time around, I kind of knew better. And the first time round, I dropped all the money. Anyway, I started to think about things at that point, and as we were expanding our family, I really started to think and feel into what this next chapter would look like. So it started with a look around what I was spending money on. Because also as well, when I first had her, I had her August 2019, I knew that for the first 6 months, even though I was going to be working because I'm self-employed and I'm doing the things and I can continue to make money without sort of necessarily going to a 9-to-5 job in that way, I knew that I wasn't going to be watching my spending because that doesn't feel like it's particularly expensive. As always, these things happen. Like, I didn't know what my recovery was going to be like. I didn't know how this was all going to come together, and I didn't know what kind of baby I was going to have. I didn't know what our family would need. So I was definitely in a place of not being frivolous. I was very cautious and discerning and thinking about things. But fortunately, those months went smoothly, and we found our rhythm and we found our flow. And that's not to say that we're all sleeping through the night all the time and we're just breezy, happy, because then, the pandemic hit and all of that. But it really made me think about things differently. And I realized for a long time I had been scrimping and saving and making do. And the more work I did around myself, I kind of came to light where those gaps were for me. And I had always sort of taken on this kind of starving artist mentality, as it were. So those moments of sort of saying, oh, I don't need it, or, I never know where the next penny is coming from, so I better not buy that thing. And basically I was carrying around a lot of old beliefs that no longer served me and were no longer true, because actually I know now I'm in a position that I've built my career up, that if I don't have any more clients knocking at my door, I can create them. I can sell stuff. I can become more visible. I can do the things that I actually do. So I'm not in that position that I was 20 years ago, where I'm just hoping and wishing and praying that somebody would call me and say, hey, sweetheart, I got a job for you. Like, no, it's not the case anymore. I can create my own stuff. I am the driver of my own bus, as it were. And so all these beliefs that I was holding on to, of scrimping and saving and like looking at two things, whether that's in the supermarket or whether that's I don't know, it would pop up when I would like travel. So I would go, oh, I'll go and get that train because it like the time doesn't work at all, but it's 30 quid cheaper. So I'll just do that. And what I would end up doing is sitting in train stations. And remember those days? My goodness, when we used to travel. And I'd be wasting time not being in a place of being able to earn because I was trying to do the cheaper thing. And this is what's happened now, is actually when I focus and when I do things that are in service that make me feel good, I make more money. So I'm skipping about a bit here, but hopefully you're sticking with me. So I made a commitment to really notice and to be committed to buying the thing I actually wanted, to have that trust and that faith in me that money was in abundance, that it was coming, that I could create more of it. So this situation, when I earned money, it wasn't like, oh my goodness, it's going. So I've had this example as well since I did an advert last year and I got paid for it. And sometimes the temptation is to break that down. You know, like if you got a tenner when, I don't know, for Christmas or something from somebody, and you would be analysing this £10 note. And in the back of my head, I would always have this, oh my goodness, I better buy something worthwhile. I better not fritter it away. And when I've had a chunk of money, for example, come, sometimes there's that temptation away of like, oh my goodness, I've got to do something with it. I've got to make sure I honour it. And what happens when it's all gone? Am I ever going to work again? And it's like, no, this is just a part of my up level. This is just a part of my business. And being committed to it, having consistency and thriving and growing every single day. So coming back to buying the thing I want, I firstly had to notice what was going on. And I suddenly made a commitment to stop spending money on things I didn't need. And I think sometimes our spending habits I know this, I can only talk on my behalf, but maybe you'll resonate with some of this. Our spending habits are really habitual. So you might go to the supermarket and you buy the same veg, for example. But it's only until you really start to notice it that at the end of the day, at the end of the week, rather, you might be going, do you know what? I never eat that cauliflower. I don't know why I bought it. Why have I been buying cauliflower? I love cauliflower, actually. Courgettes are the buggers that are in my fridge usually. I end up buying them because I feel like I'm going to put them in something. And then at the end of it, I'm like, oh no, they're still lurking there. Why am I buying them? So I started to really notice, like turn that brightness up on my spending habits and really think, do I need that? Is this something that makes me feel good? And I've sometimes done this in terms of buying stuff because I've kind of needed it, but it hasn't lit me up. So sometimes I've done that with kids' clothes, for example, where I've bought stuff for the kids because I'm like, oh, I better buy them some new tops. Oh yeah, I'll just get those. They're a multi-pack. Yeah, fine. But actually, they're not necessarily things that I love or I'm drawn to. And I just end up not cluttering up the wardrobe, but I'm not being in service to buying the stuff that I actually want. And sometimes that's buying less, that's buying higher quality, that's buying stuff like I want to, this is such a, frivolous example, but when I get my kids dressed in the morning, I want them to feel good and I want them to go, oh, I love this top. There's a top that I've recently bought for Luna and it's got kind of 3 different cats on, and it's sort of a sensory top, as it were, and she loves wearing it. Like every time I put it on, she kind of looks, and she's got this happy little face. It's very lovely. So I started to notice what I was spending on money on and what I didn't need. Now, of course, with all of this work, like sometimes other feelings come up, like, oh my goodness, why have I been doing that? Oh, I'm such a terrible person. Like how, all these things that sometimes as women we carry, like, oh, I'm so stupid for doing that. And I think it's really important when you're going through these stages not to shame yourself, not, just go with the flow, you owning what you knew at the time, and it's all going to be good going forward. The third thing I started to do was to make space for what I actually wanted. So I actually started to really sit down with my numbers. Again, not necessarily a sexy activity in the slightest. And sometimes it's quite harsh looking at your bank account and looking at what's been going on and looking at where you spend and things like that. But I really started to think, if I was going to go to the next bracket for me, I had to make space to notice what was going on right there and really make a commitment. And so I now look at my bank account, I would probably say 3 times a day. And again, you might be like, oh my goodness, that feels extreme. But I got stung about 4 years ago where a huge amount of money went out of my bank account, out of my current account, because somebody scammed me. Something happened. And there was a Christmas where I literally couldn't get any money out of my bank account because they'd taken everything in there and also into my overdraft. And then I was getting charged on the overdraft. Unfortunately, I got it all back in the end. But as a woman who wants to lead and to think about things, I'm going to say those basic things of checking your bank account, knowing what's going on and being discerning in there. It's really interesting because my partner and I are very sort of equal because we're both freelance, we're both self-employed. We really look at money in a way where we're always sort of checking in with what's going on. So I'm not in that position where I go, oh, my husband just deals with everything and I don't know how to read a gas meter. Like, I really do. Like, I know how to do all of the things and I know how to generate money as well, which is important. Okay. Number 4, this was a juicy one. I decided to rewrite the rules. So again, there are so many things where women, for example, might talk about, it shouldn't be about women, but when we start businesses and people go, how much for coaching? What? That's crazy. That's a ridiculous amount of money. They're clearly trying to scam something out, or I don't know what it might be. And do you know what? It's really interesting looking at that psychology because we've never questioned it where, I don't know, men have gone, right, I'm just going to buy a car because I fancy it. Like, I bought a car 2 years ago, but I'm just going to buy a new one. Woo, yeah. Or when people just, spend money in different ways. And so these rules of like, you should buy a brand new top every time you go out, or I don't know, these silly things that have been conditioned for years and years, I suddenly had to almost throw the rules out and go, no, what's going to be important to me? How do I want to spend money? What's my version of success, etc.? So rewriting those rules, being really discerning about it. I've got 2 more things. Focusing on expansion, not contraction. And this is something Marie Forleo taught me in terms of B School, of really noticing if something makes you feel good or not. And I get really, again, revealing my dark side, I get really annoyed when I buy some fruit and I get it home. And I mean, I do tend to kind of check it out as much as I can. But when I get home and I open it and I'm like, oh no, like all the strawberries are bruised or manky or things like that. And I've really noticed that moment that I have no problem in purchasing things that other people will be like, how much is she spending on berries per week? But I don't mind doing that at all. But I want that value for money. And again, I'm getting used to different amounts of money and spending on different things. And I'm really checking in. Does this make me feel expansive? Or does this make me feel that sort of small or tight, or like I'm kind of spiraling my stomach into a knot or something like that? So I've really got to notice what is going on. Equally, when I do speaking events or things like that, and somebody says, look, this is the money that we have available, it's my decision for me whether this is going to feel expansive or whether it's going to feel like I'm being squashed. Or I had a moment a while ago where somebody offered me some amount of money, and I said, is there any room for negotiation, because what was offered in the first place didn't quite feel right. And I think there is always that happy medium where everybody feels like they can come to the table and they can both get what they need from it as well. That's really important. And also as well, going into that point of the work that I do, especially when it comes to speaking and things like that, I have to feel good before I start so I can give. I'm never in that position where I want to be like, hi guys, I'm not getting paid much money, so I'm going to scrimp and save and I'm just going to do something. I'm going to give you the short version because I'm a bit annoyed here, and I'm never in that situation. I want to be like, I am in my power. I'm going to give you your power, and it's going to be a wonderful thing. The final point I want to say is sometimes going to the next level and really spending money on the things that you want will require patience. It will require payment plans. And there's nothing bad about that. This sense of going, I've just got, 100K under my bed that I don't know what to do with. I would hasten to guess that many people do not have that money that is just available for them, waiting to be put in a situation. And many of the people that work with me do so on a payment plan. And that's absolutely fine. In fact, that's great for me because I can forecast where I'm going and what's happening and what's going on. And great, be in a payment plan. Be in a place where you feel like you can manage your money and you can do other things, because I'm here for the bigger picture. I'm here for people doing the things that they want to do. And sometimes that is not an overnight thing. And I hate this feeling of, well, if I don't pay it all in full immediately, then I'm, doing the wrong option, or I'm not, I don't know, there's some kind of weird thing. No, use the payment plan if you need to. Always be patient. If it takes you something, so I remember there've been times as an actor, 10, 12, 15 years ago, where I knew I needed to have headshots. And I didn't have the money. I didn't have that sort of 350 quid available. And so what I had to do was pay the deposit of 50 quid and put it in the diary and book it 3 months in advance, because I was being in service to the vision, but equally I didn't, and I was making moves so I could do all my planning and things like that, but I didn't have the cash readily available. And so the final thing I want to say is, if you don't have, if you're not in the situation where you want to be right now immediately, this is a long game. You can start to make steps. So maybe it's about thinking, what do you want to have in your budget for the next quarter? What are the things according to the stuff that you said at the beginning of the year? Like, yeah, I want to do this. Yeah, I want to build this. Where's the support? Where's the help? What are the things that are going to make you feel great in terms of your business and life? And how can you start to generate the cash in order to make those things happen? So I hope today has been useful. I've really enjoyed spending some time with you. Thank you for being here. As always, I would love to know your thoughts. If you're interested in pricing and packaging, it's stage 2 of your personal brand plan, so do check it out. Again, there's a pay in full option and there's a payment plan. So that's very important to me, and it's very intentional in the way that I put those things out. There's also a done with me and a DIY version as well. So check out the details below. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you next week. Lots of love. Bye.